Alrighty, this is the pièce de résistance, as in this is the combo quake. The combo quake is a fairly well-known, in certain circles, release. It's it's one that the trauma release exercise crew and various other crews adopt quite a lot because it works, and it's something that helps the body to feel comfortable whilst it's releasing. So they're postures that are uh, very in line with how the body can get a sense of itself as a whole and feel free to actually move and express itself. It opens up the deep core, which is the area on the inside of the groin where the femoral artery, femoral veins, and lymphatic sort of system run. So it's the expansion of the groin, really. And to be able to stretch open and release that area can ignite other areas of the body as well to release. It's also an area where the deep hip flexors run, and the inserts into the hip region or the femur bone, and again to release those, which are the prime muscles to act as a sudden guarding, a sudden protection mechanism. The flexion comes up. Let me show you. How much dramatic. So I suddenly flex down into that position. These muscles are very strong to power that protection response. So we have three main things that these sort of muscles do. They will either mobilize, they'll stabilize, or they will protect. And it's the protection response, which is a brainstem driven reaction that acts as a default. It overrides anything else. It's a survival mechanism that causes the body to, in a way, almost be invisible. Protected and invisible. So the visceral organs are now all protected, comparatively speaking. And also the body's told to be still. And so, in effect, you are, in a way, helping yourself become invisible to predators, predators, and so on. Okay, hopefully it's not going to be too sunny. You should be able to see this. Yep. I'll probably go into the Setu Bandhasana sort of position to begin with. So going to the bridge pose. Bridge pose is a useful way to start. You can get a sense of the position we're going to adopt. Like so, if you want to join your hands up, you can as well. After you've done that for a period of time, pop your feet together. If you've been practicing yoga for some time and you feel quite open around the groin region anyway, take your feet a little bit further away from the body, from your pelvis, and form a diamond shape between your feet, your knees, and your pelvis. So those sort of angles will help to form a diamond shape. Once you form that diamond shape, you start to lift yourself up off of the floor, like so. If it feels like it's a little bit strainy on your knees, or you're getting a little bit to a sore back, bring your heels a little bit closer towards your back and then lift yourself up. You're bowing the hip flexors over your pelvis, sort of ramus portion of your pelvis at the front. And breathe. Very useful to actually get a sense of your breath in this position, because the diaphragm starts to talk a bit more intimately with the pelvic diaphragm, pelvic hammock, pelvic floor. And you might start to bounce after a while. You're not bringing this on. You're not trying to do the bounce. It's a non-doing.
You might start to twitch a little bit from side to side and sway. Again, if you find that you're actually doing it, question, am I actually doing this, or is it something that's just happening? And let the body relax into that question. Then it kind of like doesn't matter. The question is the answer, because you're intimately involved with the releasing notion the body has. It's feeling into areas that might have been packed away, stored, defended, held. There's a notion that the body wants to release. And we're exploring that, letting the body do the questioning. Well, the mind and the body doing the questioning. You're questioning, and so is the body. And the body's kind of acting upon that. It's letting go of the conditioned sort of answers. The question is free to run its course. Take a deep breath in. And when you release, you'll often feel the areas that were just on that precipice of wanting to release, starting to release on their own. You might feel your arms, your fingers twitching. You might feel that they start to tingle a little bit. You might start to flow. And you can carry on doing that for a fair period of time. Probably a good 4 or 5 minutes. Some people 2, 3. Let's not prescribe too much. You always make it too techniquey. Feel your body, get a sense of it. But yeah, by guidelines, probably wouldn't be doing it for much more than about 10 minutes. And then lower yourself back down. And obviously, if you get tired during that, come down, have a relax, and then go back up again. I often, especially if I'm seeing clients, I'll often put a wheat bag or a bag of rice or something onto the belly, just about 1-2 kg, so you get a sense of their breathing. So in for 2, out for 4, usually a good way of getting that relaxed sort of breath. And if you find that your habit is to breathe through the mouth, then to come to the nose more and more. In the end, just breathe through the nose. Taking the feet a little bit further away from your pelvis. So you're forming more of a, you notice my legs started to shake straight away then. So certain fascicles of the deep hip flexors are starting to release. You might feel the tremors start to head up past the belly button, up towards the solar plexus. You might head up towards the throat. Yeah, let the body take over. Body knows what to do. It always has. From the charge and vitality of the embryonic development, the fetal expansion, and obviously the periods of time when you're just born, getting used to the environment, getting used to breathing, the heart pumping blood around the body, the organs doing their job, without thoughts getting involved. You kind of like this pure, uncarved or moulded or sculpted piece of clay. My body's listening to that, eh? So then the body starts to express another way. And again, you know, you're feeling these things anyway. You will be. And the body, if you get too addicted to the overt nature of the body doing this and saying, oh, it has to be doing this before you can actually feel it, that's not true. You're using this as a gateway into feeling the body at a deeper level, and in the end the body won't even really need, or possibly won't need to do this sort of thing. There you go, it's clicked into a natural mechanism now, or natural release of mechanism, a natural fluids flow. So the legs have stopped shaking a little bit, and my spine is starting to writhe, isn't it? It's writhing almost like a gecko climbing up a wall. It's just the brainstem sort of norm for a vertebrae. Invertebrates won't be doing this, will they? Because you won't have a vertebra. Okay, so let's bring the knees together a little bit now, and notice how the tremors probably, or the expression has started to change a little bit. So because my intention went down, oh, there we go. My intention went down to the move the legs in a little bit. There you go. You started. That's a water quake. So that's around the Shravasthana sort of region, going up to Manipura. There's a bit of fire quake, and there we go. That's released into the upper body. Good to bring in a little bit of breath. Change the conditioned nature of the breath by using an intent to release intent in a way. So the intention is to breathe so that subconscious intent start to release. That bird just now was almost mimicking the tremors. The tempo was the same. You start to become a little bit more in attunement with nature. And there we go again. Up it goes. Now, if you find your arms aren't doing much, they might not need to. If they're feeling nice and fluid and you're getting a sense of, vitality through them, well, that's the way it is. If you're not feeling them though, bring your arms up above your chest, lift the elbows off of the floor, and imagine you're holding on to a ball of energy, ball of potency. I don't like using that word energy because it's got too many weird connotations to it. People wanting to manipulate and sort of channel and do all that sort of nonsense. How can you do that? You are energy. Yeah, that's what you are. If you start to think that you're doing something with the energy, you're not intimate with the environment, Okay, so the hands, Laogong to Laogong, 2 acupuncture points right at the palm, pericardium channel points. They start to sense each other. Oh yeah, there they are. And the body's really starting to click into the sense of the meridians, in inverted commas. All the meridians start to join up. Yeah. So pericardium channels very sensitively feel from the heart. It's like hands bud out of the heart as an embryo. They do bud out of the heart as an embryo. So they're very sensitive. If you close your eyes with this one, you get a sense of your palms touching even though they're not. So that ball of potency is there. There you go. The movements generally tend to become more fluid. I actually don't really feel like my legs really need to be. Well, maybe they do a little bit at the moment still. Yeah, they do. Sorry. But if they didn't, I'd probably bring them up into a normal sort of long lie sort of position, so crook lie position, so the knees are bent and also the back and the head's still on the floor. You can start to widen your hands, still getting a sense until you can't actually feel your hands touching anymore. You'll know what I'm talking about when you practice this. There they are. Loosen your jaw and your tongue, and let your eyes just gently close. Now, let your hands become really sensitive. Pop them back onto the area below your belly button, and you might be able to, yeah. They can almost be like antennae to feel where the area wants to open. So you can put them into a number of different regions. It's like you're listening to your body with your hands. Okay, let's do something a little bit different now. Bring the knees up a little bit more. In fact, actually, let's turn the feet over so that, there you go. So the tremors, once they've ignited, it's like a snowball going down the hill. So you won't need to do anything. Yeah, the body starts to take over more and more and more. And every time it sort of forgets, or you forget, because you start thinking, or you start to drift off into another imaginary world or something. There's no disrespect to imagination, by the way, but sometimes it can become a habit that blocks out your ability to feel the body. It has its place as well, right? Okay. So from here, I'm going to place my right hand onto my left rib cage on the side, so below the chest. Other hand goes on top. I'm going to take a deep breath in. Yeah, that usually starts to open up the middle of the back. Let's do the same thing the other side. Deep breath in. Place the left hand onto the right rib cage region, below the chest. Other hand on top. And yeah, the body tends to get more and more into a rhythm that is harmonious as a whole, as opposed to fragmented like a jigsaw puzzle. Which is how it is, isn't it? It's not a jigsaw puzzle. The mind, the conditioned mind, might start to believe that it is because of conditioned habits and thoughts, memories, experience. But actually, it's a whole integral expression of everything, actually. And it is, in a way, an expression of the universe. Not even in a way, it is an expression of the universe. You can feel that. If you're feeling the whole, you are feeling the universe. How can you do that? Thought can't do that. How can you do that? That's what you are. Thoughts are just a derivative based upon expressions of habit. Expressions of habit. Conditioned sort of notions that start to take over from that felt sense of the whole. Where does the end of you start? Where does the beginning of you begin, These, if they all become philosophy, it's just like, well, you're just going to go around in circles for absolutely ever. There won't be any end to it. So if you feel it, there you have your answer. An open question, a purely, utterly honest open question. Is itself the answer? That's not any trick, riddle, or koan. You can feel that. Yeah. The sensations are so subtle. They're not even your sensations anymore. They are. Depends which way you look at it. If you're talking about everything being you, then yeah, they are. But they're not a reaction anymore. They're an integrated expression of everything. emptiness of conditioning is fullness. Nothingness is everythingness. Yeah. And stillness is now perceived as that form of being dynamics, as a dynamic stillness. And so you can lie down flat with that perception, in inverted commas, that awareness. You are that awareness. You start to feel like you don't really need to breathe, or breathing's like a little bit of an effort after a while. You usually find it rests at the end of the out breath. And when you do breathe, then it has more of a sense of a real breath, a breath that is being used for the whole of the body rather than just part of it. And you feel relaxed. Now this is the neurogenic component of the 10 limbs that I've talked about. So the quakes, or the feeling of the body taking over and releasing, they're the quakes, the neurogenic releases that acts as a useful non-doing. Well, they are a non-doing. It's a non-doing presenting the body as an expression of the whole to pranayama. So pranayama, non-doing breath, a non-doing sense of the potency running through your body, and ready to go into perhaps into the deeper limbs. So you find that it's easy to actually be able to notice the breath naturally, the natural inhalation, the natural exhalation, the pause at the end of the out-breath, pause at the end of the in-breath, and maybe it's just literally not breathing halfway through, or a third of the way through. You're just noticing anything the breath wants to do. You're noticing the natural, involuntary expressions of the body through the breath, and later the subtler sensations. So when we go on to, or when you're in an environment that is suitable to let those deep patterns of experience show themselves. So some traditions will call it the samskaras, or in Sanskrit it's called samskaras, in Pali it would be called the sankharas, the bhava, the deep patterns of experience. So the patterns of experience that we've been able to become accustomed with, or show, or let surface, have been maybe the kind of deeper than superficial experiences that start to surface. But you need an environment and a schedule, and you do need a discipline and a period of time that is long enough to let these deeper patterns surface. It won't happen in a 2-hour, yoga session. Well, some might a little bit, but the deeper ones literally won't. They won't. You need to have an environment and a feeling of safety, a feeling held, like you're in the womb again, for a longer period of time, for these deeper held tensions that are really the substrate, or the aggregate formation that provides you the sense of being individual and separate. forms all this deep dissatisfactoriness, this misery actually. Noticing that this is just a delusion or an illusion brings insight, a sense of cohesion to the rest of the world. And therefore, well, I won't go on to the rest of that. It's just, you explore this for yourself, do suss these things out, and don't think that there is a silver bullet that's going to help all these things without you putting in the time and, yeah, the effort. It's an effortless effort, but you do need an environment that is conducive to support that. I'm still there. Okay. Yeah, man.